Yo, Prime members, so check this out. We are here to talk about our favorite thing in the world, and that is Amazon Prime.
That's right. We all have different interests, but there's one thing that brings us together: Prime.
As members ourselves, we found ways to maximize our Prime benefits to get the most out of our passions.
From fast and free shipping, streaming of movies and music, and even exclusive deals and discounts, Prime has it all.
And what's great is that you can use all of these services to elevate your hobbies and interests.
Whether you're a bookworm, a fitness fanatic, or a gaming guru, Prime has something for everyone. I promise you that.
So go ahead, explore and indulge in all that Prime has to offer. We promise you won't be disappointed.
Time to get more out of whatever you're into. Prime. And that's that on that.
Hey y'all, it's Dr. Chanda, the culture psychologist, and you're tuned into the Paging Dr. Chanda podcast/show now. If you haven't heard the news, I am now on Fox Soul, so you guys can watch me there on Thursdays. This week, I'll be airing at 6 o'clock, but we have a new time that's going to be locked in pretty soon. So again, this week, 6 o'clock. But I want to get into today's discussion. It is going to be very, very helpful. If you're someone who's ever questioned, like, am I depressed? Do I have depression or some sort of major depressive disorder? I don't know if I actually do or if I don't. I'm going to run down symptoms of depression based on an acronym that we use in the mental health space or the mental health community called SIGECAPS. So with SIGECAPS, you'll be able to assess whether or not you've experienced some of these symptoms, and you'll be able to get the help that you need if you do. So go ahead, like the intro as it plays in the beginning, and I'll be back shortly.
I am paging Dr. Chanda.
I am the doctor.
And I'm a licensed clinical psychologist. Yeah. Welcome to the Paging Dr. Chanda podcast, all things related to the Black culture.
The doctor in front of your name.
Hey, period. Listen, every time I hear that intro, I am just like, it's always like the first time I'm hearing it because it's just so dope to me. Let me know how y'all feel about my new intro because the girl Taylor made it. She went in with that one. So I'm excited to get into today's topic, y'all. It has been a busy 2 weeks. It's been a busy 2 weeks. Your girl has been on the go. I literally just been posting on the podcast, posting on YouTube, and going about my business because I've had a lot of it. So I haven't really been on social media like that. Hopefully I'll get back soon, probably this week, back to posting that consistent content because I love sharing with you guys and sharing some of the things that I have going on. But the way last year wrapped up, the way this year is beginning, a lot going on. I'm praying that you guys are continuing to experience a blessed year. It's just been a lot. It's been a whole lot. Pray my strength in the Lord, as the saints say. We're going to hop right into today's topic. Oh, also, this weekend I will be in New Haven, Connecticut. So if you guys are in New Haven and you are in that vicinity and you want to come to a talk on mental health, I will be speaking at the Black Solidarity Conference. So I'm excited about that. I booked my ticket. I got, everything together. My plane ticket's booked. My lodging is booked. Everything is booked for this event. And I'm so excited to be there. So if y'all are in the New Haven area, I can't wait to connect with you. If you are a photographer in the New Haven area, I need to connect with you too. So let me know. We'll send you your cousins, your niece, nephew, whoever who might be a photographer in that area so we can get into some sort of like business partnership or whatever. But without further ado, today's not going to be super long. I just wanted to run down a very common question that I've received, especially in DM. Am I depressed? Dr. Chanda, am I depressed? Do I have depressive symptoms? What are the symptoms of depression? And if you were to Google this, what are the symptoms of depression? You'll find so many different responses because it can be different for a lot of people. However, today we're going to focus on the DSM's definition. My bad, y'all. Today, we're going to focus on the DSM's definition. And the DSM is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Disorders, which basically is like which is basically like a cookbook for mental health disorders. So if someone says, oh, I have anxiety, we utilize like a strategic system that shows us what symptoms a person is experiencing that says, okay, you have 5 of 9 of these categories of symptoms. Therefore, yes, you do have anxiety. So there is a threshold that you have to meet. So for depression, you have to have 5 of 9 of the symptoms that I'm going to talk about. So 5 of 9 of the symptoms in order for someone to meet the criteria for depression. But again, if you guys feel as though these are symptoms that you've experienced, I encourage you to talk to a professional so that they can kind of like thoroughly assess what you're experiencing to provide a official diagnosis for you. Because the purpose of this content is not to provide any sort of diagnosis. I don't want anybody to walk away saying Dr. Reynolds diagnosed me with depression because I watched her video on YouTube. Nah, beloved. We are not in a professional relationship. This is just meant to be educational. So again, write it down if you have questions about it and talk to your therapist or talk to your primary care physician. They'll be able to give you information regarding a therapist. So basically, the symptoms that individuals experience regarding depression can be categorized into different areas, and we have 9 listed in the DSM. If someone meets 5 of the 9, then that's when we start to talk about diagnoses, right? So with the 9 symptoms that individuals experience, especially like when we were in grad school, we were trying to memorize the different symptoms for diagnoses because y'all, we got to memorize like all the symptoms for diagnoses that we encounter. Grad school was hard. I'm sorry. I'm just having a flashback or whatever. But anyway, when we're learning this, we utilize an acronym called SIGECAPS. SIGECAPS. So that's SIGECAPS. If you're writing it down, it's SIGECAPS. The first symptom for this acronym SIGECAPS is for S, which is sleep disturbance. So what does that mean, Dr. Chanda? Basically, that means that when an individual is experiencing some sort of depressive state, their sleep can be disturbed, meaning they can experience what we call hypermania or hypersomnia or hyposomnia. Hyper means that it's an excessive amount, so I'm getting more sleep than I typically would, or hypo meaning I'm getting less sleep than I typically would. So when you're assessing yourself, it's important to know what your normal range is. If I know that I typically get around 8 or 9 hours of sleep a night, but the past 2 weeks I've been getting 10 to 12 hours a night, then I know that that's probably outside of my norm. Therefore, I need to assess to see if, like, what's going on. Is my mood being impacted or whatever? So the first letter is S, and that stands for sleep disturbance. And the second letter is I. The second letter is I, which stands for interest. So if an individual is experiencing depressive symptoms and they are experiencing a diminished interest in things that they want.
Who needs an alarm in the morning when McDonald's has sausage, egg, and cheese McGriddles and a breakfast cutoff? Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
We're interested in, that is another sign of depression. I have people come to me all the time saying, I used to like playing basketball. I don't like it anymore. I used to enjoy crocheting. I don't enjoy that anymore. I used to like making videos on TikTok. I don't like that anymore. And we don't realize that when we experience like a sudden change in not liking the desired activities that we once enjoyed, that can be a symptom of depression. So it's really important to be mindful of how these different things can manifest. All right, so the next one we have for SIGECAPS is guilt or feeling worthless. So if an individual is feeling guilty, if they're feeling worthless, they're feeling as though, why am I here? What meaning does my life have, right? I'm feeling guilty about something that happened in the past or something that currently is happening right now. These are, again, symptoms of feeling depressed. These are symptoms associated with depression. The next one is E. So E stands for energy. If you're feeling like you have a loss of energy, oftentimes we might feel as though, I have less energy now, but it's because I'm getting older, or it's because, the sun is not shining as often it is because it's the winter time, which can have something to do with it as well. I should do another episode on SAD, seasonal affective disorder, because that's very common as well. Let me know in the comments if you guys want to learn more about SAD, especially as it relates to the Black population and how it impacts us, because it does impact us differently. So let me know what y'all think. But overall, when an individual experiences a decreased amount of energy, I'm not as vibrant as I used to be, I'm not as energetic as I used to be, that is another symptom, another sign of depression, right? That can present in various ways. You can feel less energetic when it comes to being around people, being around friends, being around family. If your kids notice, like, mom or dad, you don't go outside to play with us as much. You're always in bed every time we come home from school. That can be a sign or a symptom that your energy is becoming low. Right? My bad, y'all. I keep checking my phone because my DoorDash is supposed to be on the way soon. Apologies. But yeah, so that is E. Okay, so the next letter in SIGECAPS. So we went through S, we went through I, we went through G, we went through E. The next letter is C. Somebody say C. Concentration difficulties or indecisiveness. Concentration difficulties or indecisiveness. So this is one of those symptoms that can have like an overlapping type of symptom. So if an individual is experiencing what we call an overlapping symptom, it can present in this category, or it could also be a symptom of ADHD, or it could be a symptom of anxiety. That's why we say when you're receiving information like this, it's important to listen to it if it applies, but also take it to your primary care physician or your therapist so that they can help you to kind of like parse out what this is, how it's being manifested, and if it meets the criteria for a diagnosis, whether it's depression, anxiety, ADHD, or something else that has to do with concentration. But yes, depression can indeed impact your overall concentration levels. Why? Because if an individual is experiencing sadness of some sort, if they're experiencing a lower mood, if they're not able to just go about life in the way that they once did, oftentimes when it comes to those activities that require higher cognitive order, or it requires more complex cognitive activities, I'm not going to be able to exert as much energy as I typically would. So if someone is feeling depressed, it makes sense why they're not able to complete schoolwork in the way that they once did. If someone is feeling depressed, it makes sense why they wouldn't be able to meet their job performance in the way that they once did. Because again, when someone is depressed, it causes difficulty in their ability to exert cognitive energy and to engage in activities that require a high level of concentration, whether that is at work, whether that is at home, whether it's with your family or friends or what have you. I remember when I was experiencing some things that happened last year, like it was very difficult for me to concentrate. I had to like really, really pay attention to things that I really need to pay attention to. But I just remember like being in conversations with people, I would just be zoned out. Right. So it's really difficult. And when an individual is in a depressed state, it can impact your concentration level. So it's important to be mindful of how that can show up in your life. All right. So the next letter we have in our acronym is A. So that is for appetite. So abnormalities in your appetite or weight change. So oftentimes, I know I'm not the only one. If I'm going through, I crave sweets, I crave salty stuff, I crave potato chips, like everything unhealthy. And anybody who knows me, like I'm a healthy eater, like, no meat, like no alcohol, like I try not to engage in anything that basically just like contaminates my temple, because I like to eat clean, basically, right? But at the same time, when someone is going through and they're feeling depressed, they're feeling they're experiencing some sort of like emotional difficulty, it does change our eating pattern. It does change for various reasons, right? So you could be experiencing just lower appetite. Like I don't feel like eating because I'm so sad or experiencing the current emotion that I'm experiencing. But also sometimes we have quote unquote emotional eating, right? So sometimes like if I am so sad to the point where I want to disassociate, or I want to, what we call eat my feelings, right? That can cause an increase in weight or an increase in appetite or what have you. So it's important to be mindful of our eating habits also when we are experiencing a depressed state. Lastly, I'm sorry, not lastly, but no, second to last, we have psychomotor retardation or agitation. Psychomotor retardation or agitation. So that's just a big fancy word to talk about. Okay, so when we say psychomotor, we're talking about our ability to to move, right? So like to move, to engage in conversation, the connection between the psyche and our movement, right? So our ability to remain engaged with other people and engaged with the world around us. If an individual is they're experiencing what we call psychomotor retardation, that means their movement is more slowed. Their verbal responses are more slow, right? So you can talk to someone and their responses are just like really low, lethargic, just really slowing their movement or what have you, right? So that is more of that psychomotor retardation. Because it's going backward, it's slower than it typically is. Or we can have psychomotor agitation. So this is an individual who they're on edge, right? So like just really expansive in speech, or like even their hand movements can be more looking agitated, right? So like moving more often than they typically would. So that is another example of psychomotor agitation. So feeling like you're moving more often. And lastly, S is for suicide or death, right? So experiencing acts of suicide or thoughts of suicide, even passive suicide, right? So I wish I could go to sleep and not wake up. I wish that I wasn't here. Life would be better off without me. My family would be better off without me. Those are those passive ways of expressing suicide that we discuss as well. So all of these things are symptoms of depression. And when an individual has 5 of the 9 things, the SIGECAPS that we just reviewed, that is a sign that there could be some sort of clinical diagnosis of depression that is happening. So I hope this video was helpful. Again, this was very short, sweet, straight to the point, but I wanted to make sure I made this to answer a lot of your questions. If you guys have more questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section. I'm going to be pushing out more content as well, so I can't wait to do that. Also, make sure that you guys catch your girl on Fox Soul. Make sure you watch me on, you can watch it on YouTube. You can watch it on their actual app, or on the streaming channel, which I have like the Roku TV where you can download like different channels or whatever. So you can download the Fox Soul channel. It is on there as well. So it's a variety of ways you can watch your girl on Thursday at 6:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll be giving you guys an updated time once we get my time solidified next week, after we some other shows are we're just waiting for them to wrap up. But yeah, girl, I'm here to stay. And I hope that this video was helpful for y'all to watch. See y'all.
Everybody loves McDonald's fries. So yes, you accused your mom of stealing some of your fries on the way home. But the bag did feel a little light. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.